Hello, my name is Lee Bryant. I will be presenting the Sketcher case study on behalf of Lee Bryant and Kevin Daines. And we will be discussing the introduction of the company and current situation. We will look at the external environment analysis. We will look at the internal analysis. We will identify key problem areas. We will take a look at the recommendations, and finally, we will take a look at the implementation plan for Skechers. Introduction and company. Skechers is a 20-year-old footwear maker founded by Robert and Michael Greenberg, veterans of LA Gear organization. Skechers designs and they market Skechers branded lifestyle footwear for men, women, and children. They also design and develop performance footwear for men and women as well. The current situation. In the U.S., Skechers sells in department and specialty stores, also in athletic and independent retailers, and boutiques as well as catalog and internet retailers. International. Skechers has 30 distributors that sell products in 100 countries. When we look at the breakdown, we can see in the U.S., Skechers has 20 concept stores, 120 concept stores. So they have 107 factory outlets and 54 warehouse outlets in the U.S. In the international market, Skechers has 33 special concept stores, 15 factory outlets, and they do not have any warehouse outlets international. Skechers uses contract manufacturers in China, Italy, Vietnam, and Brazil. During 2011, 5 of their contract manufacturers accounted for approximately 62.5% of total purchases. Let's take a look at the external environment analysis. First of all, we want to examine the economic and political legal segments. Skechers produces mostly in China-based CMs. Analyst Wedbush analyst Cornelia Friedman states strengthening yen means higher labor costs and lower margins in China. Finances production with lower interest rates between 0 and 1.5%. Also in the external environment, governments investigating claims about benefit of toning footwear. Um, Also taken in $50 million charge to resolve regulatory inquiries and pending lawsuit as a result of the strategy of implementing the toning footwear, which was not, as we can see, wasn't very successful, and Skechers did have issues. Let's take a look at the social cultural segment. Skechers is also concerned about working conditions, ensures manufacturers adhere to U.S. and labor laws. Also, 41% of Americans purchase brands associated with social or environmental causes. 20, and it's up from 20% in 1993. So we can see that that as buyers become more socio culturally aware of the issues and conditions, that Skechers needs to really be concerned with social issues. Also, Skechers has implemented a program called Bobs, where if you buy a pair of Bobs, and Skechers will give a new pair of shoes to a child in need to make a difference. So we can see this particular program will benefit Skechers as it relates to socio-cultural um, within the social cultural segment. External environment analysis. Let's take a look at the global. As we know, globalization creates many opportunities for the U.S. Sports shoe industry. It is important for Skechers to understand political events, laws, regulatory issues, and cultural characteristics. The global footwear industry accounts for the production and sales of more than 2 billion pairs of shoes around the world each year. Rapid globalization and the 2008 and 2009 economic recession have impacted operations and sales across the industry. Therefore, globalization is even more important today. Now, let's take a look at the technological segment. The sports shoe industry is a customer driven and very competitive. In order to maintain a competitive advantage, Skechers must research and identify new marketing trends and align its manufacturing and forecasting accordingly. Tech Technological advances are critical to athletes and help reduce injuries. As an example, there is a condition called pronation, is the inward roll of the foot while walking or running. Skechers must research better design to reduce injuries and improve performance for athletes. Thereby, it will help to increase um, their market share as it relates to athletic footwear. Okay, let's take a look at the demographics segment. Two-thirds of Skechers' revenue is generated in the U.S. Target customers are from age 12 to 24-year-old, which is also a declining segment. Also, the typical customer target is style-conscious, fashion-forward buyers. Also, performance and fitness enthusiasts. Also, we see that they're a declining segment in the U.S. Recognizing increased ethnic diversity is very important to Skechers' success going forward. We can see the breakdown. International sales was only 34% for Skechers, and the U.S. sales accounted for more than 60%, 66% of the gross revenue. Okay, let's take a look at the physical segment. Sketcher must be aware of the potential and actual changes and concerns in the physical environment and business practices that are intended to positively respond to and deal with changes and challenges such as global warming. Sketcher must adopt strategies that incorporate energy efficient systems, policies, processes, and training. Sketcher must also be able to improve production methods to reduce the size of carbon footprint. Also, incorporate recycle and biodegradable materials into their production and eco-friendly footwear. And finally, comply with child labor regulations and laws and best practices. So let's take a look now at the industry five forces. The first one we want to talk about is the bargaining power of customers. The bargaining power of customer is also described as the market of outputs. The ability of customer to put the firm under pressure, which also affects the customer's sensitivity to price changes. Skechers has two primary buyers. First are the large wholesale customers, and second is individual consumers. it should be noted that large wholesale customers can exert tremendous pressure on Skechers to reduce their prices. Skechers must be able to balance wholesale customers' pricing expectations in order to produce an acceptable rate of return on its invested capital. Now let's take a look at another one of the five forces: bargaining power of suppliers. The bargaining power of supplier is also described as the market of inputs. Suppliers of materials, components, labor, and services can be a source of power over the firm when there are few substitutes. Sketcher has five contract manufacturers that accounted for approximately 62.5% of its total purchases, and also one manufacturer accounted for 30.8% of Skechers manufacturing. So thereby that is a risk for Skechers. Heavy reliance on relatively few third-party suppliers and manufacturers could adversely affect the long-term sustainability of the firm. Another internal threat is the threat of new entrants. Since the shoe industry is a profitable market that yield high returns, it will attract new firms, which will eventually will decrease profitability for all firms in the industry, unless the entry of the new firms can be blocked by incumbents. Some of the methods or types of barriers that Skechers should look at to analyze and look to implement are of course the try to develop economies of scales, create product differentiation, capital requirements, cost advantages independent of scale. Also, Sketcher has to be aware when new interests try to penetrate the industry. There are of course switching costs. So Sketcher may want to may have to renegotiate and look at the cost in order to in order to really take advantage and take advantage of the switching costs. Also, access to distribution channels and governmental and legal barriers can be implemented by Sketcher to try to block new firms from entering the industry. Another another force is inter-firm rivalry. Wide variety of established brands provide many substitute products representing a threat to their success. Also, we have to be concerned about going head to head against more established brands such as Nike, which Nike has tremendous resources they can uh, bring into play against Skechers. Also, difficult convincing consumer to switch brands market isn't used for running shoes from Skechers. Also, Skechers hopes U.S. marathon champion Meb Ke- Kes- Keslowski, who wears Skechers, can change perception that Skechers is in fact able to compete as it relates to athletic running shoes. They can compete against Nike and the other larger companies in the industry. Let's, Also, we want to take a look at the external environment analysis, the competitor analysis. As we can see, Nike is the largest global marketer of athletic footwear and apparel and equipment. Next is Steve Madden, which is a trend setting, fashionable, single brand footwear maker